Let's bring in Virginia Congressman Ben Cline. He is a member of the House Judiciary, Budget, Appropriations, and China Select Committees. Congressman Cline, so give us the state of play here, because obviously Johnson had a political problem within the party, didn't seem to have the support. But what is the plan B to get some type of CR to the Senate?
Well, right now we're focused on keeping the government running, avoiding a shutdown, and ensuring that we have free and fair elections this November by ensuring that you can't register to vote if you're not a citizen of this country. It's common sense. The Democrats don't support it. We have members discussing how long a CR should last, whether it should be 6 months or 3 months, and that's encouraging us to take another week just to make sure we've got the votes before we take that vote to continue the government spending through the holidays and into the new year.
So what would you vote for if the Senate kicks this back, say that it gets there without the SAVE Act attached, or the Senate strips it out, which is more likely? Would you vote for the continuing resolution and avoid a shutdown? Are you willing to take a chance on a government shutdown, which some of your colleagues have said could be political suicide in an election year?
Nobody wants a government shutdown, and we're hoping to avoid that. But if the Democrats want to oppose simple policy like registering only citizens being able to vote in our elections and having to provide proof of citizenship to register to vote, if Chuck Schumer wants to kill that in the Senate, well, that's going to be on him, and the voters are going to remember that in November. But instead, we're going to continue to focus on policies that are of concern to the American people right now. They're of concern that our elections need to be ensured that they are safe and secure.
All right. Well, we'll see what the next move is by Speaker Johnson as a shutdown, or at least funding, and the end of funding is quickly approaching at the end of this month. Democrat New York Congressman Jerry Nadler, one of your colleagues, he was slammed for appearing to doze off during testimony from mothers whose children were allegedly murdered by illegal migrants. This was during House Judiciary Committee hearings earlier this week. You were there. You are on this committee. Texas Congressman Chip Roy posted the photo of Nadler on X, and he wrote, quote, "From frustrated families in the audience, listening to witnesses who lost loved ones to violent illegal aliens, hardly any Dems present, those who are." You can see it also appears that an aide next to him is looking at a cell phone. So here's what these migrant crime victims' families were saying during that hearing that you attended.
There are no words that describe the heart-wrenching, soul-crushing pain of losing your child so horrifically.
I know you have a little girl in your family. Imagine somebody undressing her. Maria was so covered in bruises, I had to go and shop for a funeral dress for her to cover the damage that that man did to her.
He made one tragic mistake, and it took his life. Our firstborn son, my everything, he was gone.
It's the most brutal crime that has happened in Maryland that they can even remember. I went to the funeral home because I had to decide if we could do an open casket.
Congressman, what was it like in the room?
You could have heard a pin drop. It was a tragic moment for the Judiciary Committee. We were riveted on the testimony of these victims' parents. As a father of daughters, it hits home to hear about how the open border policies of the Biden-Harris administration have impacted lives. And, we have to bring it home to Democrats on the committee who refuse to listen, who refuse to acknowledge that these open border policies are hurting Americans, killing young people, bringing in drugs, bringing in human trafficking, sex trafficking, gangs, violence. And so we have to bring these horrible stories right to them, to their doorstep, and hopefully they will listen and they can change their policies. But right now, these open border policies are still having an impact right here in this country.
All right.
And Americans are tired of it.
Real quick, what was your reaction to Jerry Nadler falling asleep?
Jerry Nadler, unfortunately, just didn't pay attention to the testimony, and it's very unfortunate that he was not just riveted by the dramatic testimony that really had an impact on us all.
Okay. I've got Todd Pyro on set with me. He's got a question for you.
Yeah, just to follow up to what Cheryl said, would that have been Jerry Nadler's presentation, his posture, his sleepiness, if this were, you know, a hearing that he called on a made-up charge against Donald Trump?
That's a great point. We've seen him animated, and unfortunately, it's in the wrong direction. It's usually not focused on issues that are of concern to the American people, like the open border crisis. And so for him to not pay attention and not be listening to this testimony is definitely not being sensitive to the witnesses, but also to the concerns of the American people.
Well, China is also in focus in the House this week, now that the House is back from its August recess. House Republican leadership is bringing up crucial legislation that will protect Americans against the threats posed by the CCP. So, Congressman Cline, your amendment to add the Chinese Academy of Sciences as a Chinese entity of concern did pass earlier this week. House Oversight also out with a stunning new report that alleges a machine operated by a Chinese military company is being used in Los Alamos. That's one of the most top-secret government labs in the country. That's where the atomic bomb, of course, was developed. The Biosecure Act passed the House on Monday. It bans that machine, Congressman Cline. Give us your thoughts on this and tell us more about this amendment that you put in.
Sure. We need to sound the alarm bell on the involvement of China across our economy, not just in our biotech industry, present at Los Alamos, a genetics company dealing with healthcare, dealing with our higher education system. That's the bill that I amended, because we've got grants going, taxpayer-funded grants going from our Homeland Security Department and our Ag Department to China-affiliated, CCP-affiliated entities that are still in Wuhan, still doing studies on the bird flu. The Secretary of Agriculture tried to deny it. We provided proof, and we're going to prevent those kinds of associations from continuing to happen. But the Chinese party, they are putting, they're in control of technology that are going into our weapon systems. We need to remove that connection and start to become more independent from these Chinese threats, because it is a threat, and we have to make sure that we're ready.
Congressman Ben Cline. Congressman, thank you for being here. Keep us posted on that legislation.
Thank you.
All right.